All right, guys, I'm going to tell you a story that I've been really afraid to talk about for the longest time. And I'm not even really sure why I've been afraid of telling this story, but to be honest with you, that's the exact reason why I need to share with you. And as I go through my personal development journey, I realize that, on the other side of all your fears is everything that you've ever wanted. And this is something that I don't necessarily feel really good about. And on top of that, I actually just tried to record this exact video and I ran out of storage like 5 minutes in, and the video ended up being or it would have been like 45 minutes, but I didn't even realize that the storage got banged. So we're just going to try and one take this, and I'm going to be as honest and raw as I possibly can. It's probably for the best because that last one, I feel like I might have been a little bit performative. This is because I already did it once, you're going to get the most raw and authentic version of Nick here in this video. So why did I stop training athletes online? I don't really talk about it a whole lot. And if you've been watching my content for a little bit, I vaguely talk about how I made over $250,000 my first year doing it. And my best month was $32K a month. And I trained hundreds of athletes online, over 250 athletes online. At my peak, I had 100 active athletes myself that I was training. So, and I'm totally a training nerd. Like, still to this day, I love talking about training and lifting and nutrition and baseball and all that type of stuff. And if you get to talk to me on like a pretty deep level, I'm still just a ball player that somehow figured out how to make money from this thing right here. So why did I stop training athletes online? Well, let me tell you guys how I got into training athletes online, and then tell you the truth as to why I actually started this business. Because contrary to maybe popular belief, it's not because I wanted to have a big impact or I thought that I could help more people. It's because I needed to make money. And I'll explain what actually happened. So when I got done playing baseball, June 2021, I actually walked away from the game of baseball on my 24th birthday because I knew that the game was going to be done with me here pretty soon. So I figured I'd just go out on my own terms, right? Break up with the game before the game could break up with me. And so I walk away from the game of baseball at 24, and I'm determined to make something of myself. And I figured that going into college coaching, I always thought when I was playing that whenever I was done, I was going to get into coaching. And so that's why I never really cared about school or my degree or anything like that. I was like, dude, I'm just a baseball guy. Like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. So I get done playing, but then I see our college coaches, and I was honestly pretty bitter with the game. But I saw like our coaches that I had played under and stuff like that, and they didn't seem to live a very happy life. They didn't seem to live a very fulfilled life, at least not in the beginning. Maybe once you get a head coaching job and you're making a little bit of money, you got a nice salary, you got a little job security, which what even is that as a college baseball coach, right? I thought, well, that's certainly not going to give me the life that I'm looking for. What I was looking for was to have status, to have importance. All I've ever wanted to be is important, which is probably something that I need to talk to a therapist about. But I digress. All I've ever wanted to be was important. And so I thought, okay, well, baseball is really not going to give me that. So what can I do? So I got a job selling mortgages for a family friend. And I moved out to Arizona. I had $1,000 in my bank account. I was like, whatever. I think I signed up to make like $3,300 a month working for this family friend who was a very successful loan officer. And very quick, and he was awesome to me. Shout out Mike if you're watching this. Probably not. He was awesome to me. But I figured very quickly, this is not the life that I want to live. I looked at the people that were ahead of me making $500,000 a year, $1 million a year, a couple $1 million a year. And I was like, dude, that life just doesn't entice me. No disrespect to him. No disrespect to him at all. It's just not the life that I wanted to live. And so I was like, there's got to be a different way to do this. There's got to be a different way to get rich, right? Because I knew I wanted to get rich. Because to be honest, like, it always felt like we didn't have enough money growing up. Like we couldn't afford everything that we wanted to do. And, oh, we don't want to spend money going out to eat. We don't want to spend money doing this and doing that. And so I thought money was pretty hard to come by. So I was like, I'm just going to try and make a ton of it so that way I can just do whatever I want and have options, because I felt like I lacked options when I was growing up. So I start studying internet business, and I run into Alex Hormozi's YouTube channel in like September of 2021. And now he's got like millions of subscribers. He's huge. He's like literally the info godfather. He makes so much money selling these workshops and, you know, consulting and all this different type of stuff, whatever. And he's really who showed me how much money you can make online and taught me a lot of the fundamental business principles and frameworks that I still use to this day. And I could probably go back and learn a thing or two from his old content. But anyway, I decide that, hey, maybe I'm going to start trying to do like an online fitness business. And so I start posting a little bit of content of me training. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. And I decide, okay, I'm going to try and, you know, go after this. So I'm like reading books, I'm taking notes and all that type of stuff, but I'm really like not that committed to it, right? I'm really not that committed. I'm still going out. I'm, you know, trying to get with women and, you know, drinking and smoking weed and dipping and I don't know, just like running from something. And I'll never forget May 14th, 2022. It's about like the 8-year anniversary from my grandma's passing, my dad's mom's passing. And yeah, I'm just going to say it. I got really drunk, did a bunch of nose beers, white powder, cocaine, and got behind the wheel of a car. And I remember driving, feeling like I had zero control. And when I got back home, I was like, dude, I could have killed somebody. I could have, like, if I would have gotten caught there, I would have been done for life. I would have ruined my entire life. My mom might be watching this, so my grandma too. Sorry to you guys. That's not who I want to be, and that's not who I am. But I got to be honest. I did do that. And I got home. It was like 7 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, I can't keep living this way. Like, I got to do something about this. I have to take ownership over my life and like make something of myself. I almost ruined my entire life that night. And I got very lucky that I didn't. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna make something of myself. So I lock in, and this is when I'm really committed, and I'm on my diet, and I'm going on walks, and I'm listening to self-help podcasts, and you know, I got sober. And things started to get a lot better. You know, I wasn't, you know, getting the attention from women that I wanted, or making the money that I wanted, or even having the physique that I wanted, or, you know, the lifestyle that I wanted, or the friends that I wanted, but things were starting to trend in the right direction. For the first time, I felt like I was working towards something again. Like I was actually going to be something one day. I'll never forget, I got this text from an old teammate of mine in August. It was a DM. He's like, hey, just moved into a house here in Scottsdale, which is where I live still currently. The house is right down the street from where I live right now. He was like, hey, you should come over, check it out. So I'm like, yeah, sick. I haven't seen you in years, bro. Like, we were roommates in junior college and, you know, whatever. And so I get there and he's like, yeah, dude, I want to start coaching athletes online. Like, I was doing some online stuff and in-person stuff out of a backyard with this other guy, but he wasn't paying me. And, you know, I wasn't really sure where their money was going, and he was just screwing me over. So I decided just that I'm going to do my own thing and come over here. Oh, sick. And I was like, yeah, that's terrible. And he's like, yeah, so, you know, I want to train athletes out of this backyard and do remote stuff. And he had like 40,000 followers on Instagram at the time. And I was like, well, dude, like, are you Like, what's the plan? And he didn't really have a plan. And so we start talking about it because I'm sitting here watching these YouTube videos and feeling like I actually know something because all I was doing was watching YouTube videos. But turns out that you actually got to take action if you want to know something, right? But I was convicted that I knew something, which you might be sitting on the sidelines right now thinking that, you know something, but if you haven't done anything, you don't know anything. Hate to break it to you. So I'm like, yeah, dude, like, let's go. And so we start kind of mapping it out and like his funnel and his program and all this stuff. And I'm like, he's like, well, would you want to sell for me? Like, I was like, yeah, let's do it. So we agree on 30% of the front end sale was going to be my commission. And so I built him out a landing page and a funnel and an application. And then I even built out his program on Google Sheets. He sat there and read off to me, or like spouted off to me like, hey, this is like what the workout should be. I put them all into a sheet. I basically kind of like, ran the whole operation. And so we launch this program off the back of his Instagram on October 2nd, maybe October 1st. And that month we did 20,000 in sales. And I'll never forget the first time that I made an $1,000 sale for an online coaching program. This guy filled out the application, jumped on a call with him, and I pitched him $1,000, 12-week program. And he was like, yeah, I'll do it all up front. Boom, $1,000. I was like, oh my goodness, I just made $300 for taking a phone call. This is insane. So we get him into the program, whatever. And I actually ended up meeting him that fall, which is pretty cool. And still follow him on Instagram too. Shout out Ryan if you're watching this. But that was kind of like the moment where I was like, oh, we can do this. We can do this. So we do $20,000 that first month, and my partner's sitting there next to me like, hey, dude, for winter break, like, I'm going to need you around full time. And I was like, dude, I'm not sure if I'm going to be around here full time, but I wanted to quit my job so bad. And so I came back to him and I'm like, hey, bro, I'll quit my job if we go 50-50 on this and like have like a new LLC that I have like legitimate ownership in. And I could tell that he didn't like that idea, but he didn't say anything. He was just like, all right. And I think he felt like he needed me and I felt like I needed him. And it was like a perfect partnership in theory, right? I was going to take care of the sales and the business stuff. He was going to do the marketing and the coaching. And after that month in November, we did $28,000 in sales. I quit my 9-to-5 job on December 1st, and we went all in for it. So December, we start hosting like live at bats. We even had like a run-in with the city of Scottsdale because we had 30 people come to the house for like in-person sessions. We were packed out. It was insane. We're blowing up on social media. He's posting every day. We're getting insane client results. Like, things are really rolling. Keep in mind, we're running everything through his own personal business account or his own personal bank account, right? And so I'm like, all right, we're going to get a new LLC at the start of the year and we're going to get everything in a business account and blah, blah, blah. And I'm keeping track of all these sales and like what we're spending money on and stuff. And so we open up the new bank account. I'm like, yeah, we should have about X amount, just like put X amount into the account based on our agreement. So he puts about half in there. I think it was like 25 grand because we had done $85,000 in sales in those first 3 months. And I was only due, 30% of the first two and then half of the profit on December. And so, a week goes by. I'm like, hey, bro, let me know when you put the rest of the money in there. Another week goes by. Hey, bro, let me know when you put the rest of the money in there. And then one day he just comes to me and he's like a sad puppy. He's like, hey, dude, I don't know what happened to that money, but I don't have it. And my heart sunk. This is like in the middle of January. After I'd already quit my 9-to-5 job, I moved into the house that we were training athletes in. And I thought we had just made at this point like 100 grand already in sales. And I had taken about 15K of that, maybe 14K of that. I was like, where did it go? He's like, dude, I have no idea. And I always want to see the best in people, right? I always wished that somebody else would see the best in me and empower me and believe in me and tell me that I'm capable of doing all these things. And so I do the same for other people, right? And yeah, I believed him. And I think he was telling the truth. I think he really needed help. He was like, I don't want to handle the money, so like what we do is I go through every single one of his bank statements and figure out where all the money is going. And like I categorize every single transaction, and like I'm like, all right, we're gonna get on a budget. And so we start, barely paying ourselves, trying to live on the least amount as possible. And keep in mind at this point, I had maybe $15,000 or $20,000 in my own savings account. And after that, I was like, okay, this is a huge risk. I'm probably not going to last in this forever, right? Because of what just happened. But, this is a great opportunity for me to make money and show a bunch of proof, and then maybe I can roll it into the next thing. But I had limiting beliefs around my own ability to generate leads. I didn't know anything about marketing. And we were doing everything off the back of his own personal Instagram. So I felt like I needed him. But keep in mind, this entire time, he's the one supposed to do the coaching. Well, he didn't want to coach anybody that wasn't a high-level pro or a D1 guy. So these like D2, D3 guys, or even high school guys, he would just like leave on red. He wouldn't hit them back. And so I started coaching these guys because I didn't like that. I was like, dude, we have to do a good job coaching people. They're paying us for a service, not even like so we can retain them and so we can keep our reputation. It's like, just ethically, we got to deliver to these people. He didn't really care that much in hindsight. And so we get on these budgets and we're living on basically nothing. And January and February and March go by, and March we end up doing like maybe 30,000, and April we do like 30,000. But right around then, it's when he started getting a little weird. Towards the end of the month, every single month, he would seemingly just get like really mad at me. And, he was like mad at the world. And I realized it was because no matter how much money we would pull out of the account, he would just spend all of it. And so he would start to go broke, and he wouldn't be able to eat. And then he wouldn't want to tell me because he was embarrassed. But then he would hold that, against me, right? Because I was the one controlling him. And obviously he would probably tell you a different story. He would probably tell you that I manipulated him and made him feel a specific way and whatever. This is just my side of the story. And so I could feel this resentment building up. And so I tried to have a couple conversations with him, but nothing, to be honest with you, ever super direct. And it kind of just boiled over, despite the fact that, 32K in May, and then 25K in June, and 30K in July. But that's when things got really bad. Okay, we had this kid come for summer break, and keep in mind, this entire time, I'm training the athletes, I'm doing the sales calls, I'm keeping track of everything, and his posting schedule was pretty erratic, but that was really his job, was to do the posting and anybody that we had come in person, and then I took everything online, right? And I made sure that we would collect payments for people that came in person, stuff like that. And I was fine to train the athletes. I was like, whatever, I really don't care. If he's not going to do it, then I got to do it. And so we bring on our first team member. I start training him to start training the athletes and everything like that. And so we bring in this kid who was going to come throw a bullpen, because that's what people would do. They would come throw a bullpen and get a workout in, and we would make a video about him. And that was part of our marketing strategy, right? And so kid's supposed to throw a bullpen one day, and it's like at 4 p.m., like as the sun is kind of setting. It was going to be like a really good view, like really aesthetic. This dude was a wizard with the camera and the content. I mean, I'm talking like better than anybody I've ever seen. It was unbelievable how good this guy was at telling a story on social media and capturing a moment. You know, he was so good at it. And so the bullpen time comes around and he's asleep. I'm pretty sure he just took a bunch of Adderall, was up for a really long time, and then crashed. And keep in mind, like, I'm not going to sit here and talk trash about him either. Like, I was taking 60 milligrams of Adderall a day just so I could keep up with the workload, because I was taking, 3, 4, 5 sales calls a day. I had 100 active athletes. I had to manage the stuff outside. I had to keep track of everything. Plus, I think I was just addicted to the feeling. So, yeah, we go inside. He's asleep. I'm like, yo, bro, bullpen's right now. Are you okay? And he like lashes out at me. I'm like, what is going on, dude? So I'm like, all right, we're going to run this bullpen. This kid came here, like, we're going to run this bullpen. So we go outside with another one of our friends who's actually former Major League pitcher. And I want to say he's like in Mexico right now. Something. I'm not going to air out his name. But we go outside, we run this bullpen. All of a sudden, my partner storms out of the house and freaks out. And he's like, I'm done with this, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, yo, what is going on? We're like, all right, whatever. Like, let's just run this bullpen. And so we have a conversation about it the next day. And he's like, yeah, dude, like, I kind of just want to do my own thing now. I'm going to sell merch. You guys can do the training. I'll help out with training here and there. But, like, that's for you guys. Me and this other guy who I told you is pitching in Mexico right now, former MLB guy. We're like, okay. So we have a meeting about it. Like, everything's fine, I guess. And so I move into this new house. And I'm moving in with actually a current client of mine and a really good friend of mine. His name's Nick Zoris. Helped him quit his 9-to-5 job to go all in for online coaching. He's an online catching coach. And so we move into this new place, me and Nick do. But like half my stuff is still in the house. And Nick was living with us the entire time. So Nick would catch all of the bullpens for the pitchers that we had, which was like so convenient to have a catcher live with us, right? And so me and Nick move into this other house. And like one day I'm at Diego Pop's. And I'm having a couple espresso martinis. I'm with my friend Cade. Shout out Cade. He's probably not watching this. But I'm with my friend Cade, and we're just having a good time. And I'm like, dude, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I don't really know if this training thing's going to work without, homeboy behind the camera, because he's just like, he's got a really good brand and he's really good at marketing and all that type of stuff. And I had a limiting belief that I wasn't going to be able to market, which is kind of funny now, because that's why people come to me, is they want to learn how to market themselves on social media. Super ironic, right? I teach them how to get leads. So anyway, I didn't think I could get leads. So keep in mind, we had gotten contact with this accounting company through one of my partner's friends, like one of these guys that he used to play ball with. And they were definitely overcharging us, but we owed them like $5,500 for X amount of time, maybe like 3 months of service, which is way overcharging, right? So anyway, I told him, I was like, hey, dude, like, we got to pay these accountants, because we were going to split whatever was in the account. I was like, hey, we got to pay the accountants. We should wait to split until after the money is taken out of that. Like, because like we still got to pay that. And you'll get, I was like, dude, you'll even get more money as a result of that. Right? I was like, we should wait until the end of the month. So that way, at the end of the month, we can accumulate all the cash flow from the payments, and then we'll split the money at the end of the month. So I'm sitting here trying to look out for homeboy still. And anyway, so I make the payment to the accountants, and homeboy's going through the business bank account. And then he calls me and he goes, what is this transaction? I was like, well, that's what we owe the accountants. He's like, nah, I never agreed to that, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, bro, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I told you we were about to pay this. He's like, all right. Hangs up the phone. Like 2 seconds later, I get a notification. Account's empty. It's like, this dude just took all of our money. And I just like stopped. It's like 14 grand. So not a ton of money. And I had like probably 60 grand in cash saved up at the time, right? Because I was living on $1,500 a month. Plus I was taking so much Adderall that I didn't need to eat, and I was apathetic, so I didn't need to hang out with anybody either. All right. So I call him, doesn't answer. I'm like, Cade, we need to go by this dude's house. So we go by the house. Keep in mind, half of my personal stuff is still in the house. We go by the house. He's outside shirtless with a bat. And then he posted on his story like a sword emoji with a picture of the bat, like tagging me and like 2 other people. It's like, bro, what is going on? So I was like, all right, that's done, right? And then the next day he posts a video on Instagram basically saying that like I was money laundering with the accountants the whole time, and he threw away all my stuff that was still in the house, put it in the back alley. So like all that stuff was gone. And he also threw a bullpen in my South Carolina shirt, cut the sleeves off, and threw a bullpen in it inside that post, right? So he told his following of 80-something thousand people that I was money laundering with our accountants. And then he messaged the guy that put us in touch with the accounting company, or he messaged his wife and was like, yo, let me know when you want a real man or something. I don't know. It was crazy. It was crazy. I think he was going through like a period of like psychosis. I don't really know what happened. But now I'm in this new house. I can't use this online coaching program that I just built to do 250 grand and serve hundreds of people, because the dude I was partnered with was accusing me of money laundering and was convinced in his mind that it was true. And I didn't think that I could generate leads. So I got in contact with a Connect who had like 80,000 followers at the time, and I launched his online coaching program, doing Done For You, because I started my company name. It's called Just Coach. Because the entire time that I was building that online program, I was like, dude, I could probably sell this one day, because I saw Alex Hormozy and like a couple other guys that are similar to him. I was like, dude, I could probably sell this info one day, because nobody's doing that. I didn't realize it was going to come so soon. My goal was to get the business to do like, a couple $1 million a year at least, not really be relying on me, have a lot more freedom, and then maybe I could build my personal brand and teach people how to do what we just did, right? Which is probably a terrible idea. I probably should have just kept training athletes if that's the vehicle I would have stayed in. So anyway, launch this guy. He has like 80,000 followers at the time. Do 15 grand in the first 30 days. I'm like, okay. I was doing all of like his marketing and sales. Well, not all of his marketing. He was posting content, but like I was basically guiding him on the strategy, and built his funnel, gave him a sales script, all of that type of stuff. I was doing email marketing for him. So I realized that like that Done For You stuff, I was like, I'm not sure if I can really make the money that I want to make doing this. I'm not sure if there's enough money in this to do it. So I was like, I think I'm going to just do coaching. So ended up buying a coaching program to teach me how to market myself, and 400 and something coaches later, here I am. So that's why I stopped coaching athletes online, because I had a business partnership that failed and lost one of my best friends in the process. And I was incredibly afraid to share this with you guys on social media, the full story. The full story. That's actually why I stopped training athletes, because I was like, well, people could not believe what I'm saying. They could think that, I'm sitting here lying, but it's like, dude, it was so real. And sometimes I wish I was still training athletes. Sometimes I wish I was still training athletes, because I'm such a training nerd. And I feel like that younger version of me needs help so bad. But I've committed to the route that I'm on right now. And now I have a team and I'm super grateful. And, we've generated tons of revenue and helped hundreds of people. And I'm really grateful for where I'm at right now. But me 3 years ago, erratic, not worried if I was going to be able to generate leads, not sure if I was going to be able to generate leads, not sure if I was going to have anybody listen to me, if anybody was going to follow me, if anybody was going to buy this, if I was going to be able to convince anybody that this was the future. And here I am, living a pretty good life. And so this is a reminder to myself too, that sometimes I get super stressed out. I get super stressed out because of the ups and the downs that come with business. And it's very difficult for me to zoom out sometimes. And so you probably feel this way too if you're watching this still at this point. That you can be emotionally volatile based on the situation that you're in. When things were rolling in our business and we were making 20, 30 grand a month coaching athletes online, and before it was like cool to do that, and nobody really knew how much we were making, I felt like the man, I felt better than other people. I was like, oh yeah, I'm making money on the internet. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm making 30 grand a month. Dude, I was such a loser, bro. I didn't know anything. But then as soon as things got scary, I started to lose confidence in myself. I wasn't sure because I put my entire self-worth in what was happening around me rather than finding it from within. So I just wanted to be 100% honest with you guys. That's why I stopped training athletes. I still love training. I miss training, and I wish my partner well. My old partner. I hope he's doing well. I haven't talked to him in years. He blocked me on everything. But it's those moments, it's those things in life that have built me into who I am today, into the man that I am today. And if I zoom out over a long period of time, I have these visions sometimes where I'm living in a super nice house. I got land, I got a pool, I got a place for my dogs to run around, I got a wife, I got kids. I'm a present father in their lives. I'm making an impact on hundreds of thousands or millions of people, telling my story. I'm speaking on stages, and I'm a published author, and I have a great network, and I love my life. Sometimes I think about those visions and I'm like, I wish I was there already. But it's moments like this in my life, or moments like, getting the rug pulled out from underneath you as a 25 or 26-year-old kid. It's those moments that make you into the person who can handle that life that you say that you want, that I say that I want, right? I say that I want this big life. And so I have to be a man capable of bearing that load. So it's been an incredibly long journey, but it's at the same time so short. I feel like I've learned so much, but I have so much further to go. And I'm incredibly grateful for every single one of you guys that decided to watch this video until the end. It hasn't been easy. Certainly been far from easy. And, obviously I portray sometimes this, perfect straight path, but I'm going through stuff on my own too, I have had, it's been way more difficult running this business than the last one. New levels, new devils. So hopefully you got some sort of value out of this. Hopefully it just allows you to understand that the path isn't always going to be straight. But if you zoom out and you look over an extended period of time, you can be grateful for the person that you're becoming in the process. You can be grateful for the lessons that you're learning along the way that allow you to become the person that is capable and worthy of living out that dream life that you have for yourself. Happy Friday, y'all. Catch you in the next one.